Mhm.
S-
Perfect.
So my first question is,
Mhm.
what is our kind of um, sort of, I mean, I have questions about certain things,
Mhm.
but what are the things that you think are critical? Like, I know there were some questions about the webinar, like that's up to kind of make sure that we can do a good job with, as well as also, I know we want to talk about newsletters, but if all has it right, hopefully we'll get December, January plans. So it just takes a little bit of heat of us while we look to figure out how we're going to execute on that.
Mhm.
Um, what other things are really important from your perspective? Or Dario, I don't know if you have a pick list, or Rich, or
I
things
think
like
from my perspective, just making sure that we know the dates of things when they've been scheduled, Dave, like so the webinar promotions and newsletters, just making sure we've covered off on the dates.
Mhm. Absolutely. So I'll go over the webinar related stuff today. The first webinar email, the one that you guys looked at yesterday, that one's already scheduled for today, and I'll kind of show you how that's all
Okay.
set up, and we'll kind of go through that. I'll leave the second one, which is sort of the last chance webinar email. I'll leave that unscheduled. It'll probably be a good opportunity for you guys just to try that feature out. Um, we got a video to kind of show you how to go through and set that up to do the scheduling. And then as it pertains to the newsletters, so we have a template set up for the gratitude email that's already set up in SharpSpring. Um, so you can pick a date and time that you want to send that and schedule it. The formatting content, Wendy, you looked at all that, that's all ready to go. And then as it relates to the standard newsletters, there's already a template set up for November and December in SharpSpring as well. So the only one that's scheduled is the first webinar email, which is for today. Everything else is ready. It just really needs input or scheduling in there in SharpSpring. Um, as it relates to things outside of that, I think you guys have a pretty good handle on the webinar related admin items, right? So you have those presenter links that we set up.
yeah, that's what I'm having a hard time understanding. I've got all these emails and I'm not sure.
Mhm.
I've got the
There,
webinar and other items, but I um, Matt, I'm having a hard time understanding what I need to do, how I do what you asked us to do.
that's okay. So last Tuesday, when we set up the webinar, when
Yeah,
we initially set it up, which was for November 8th, when we set up that webinar, we added Matt, Rich, Dario, and Wendy, right? And so everybody should have received a special link that is your presenter link.
from
And
you.
from Zoom, that would have come from Zoom.
Yeah.
Oh, that may be my
Yeah.
problem.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it would have come from Zoom. And that's the link that you use to access the practice session. You use to access the live webinar because you are a presenter. And
I
that
still
link,
I don't have
Hey,
that
Dave,
Zoom link.
I'll just, Wendy, let me just share my screen here and I'll show you what it looks like. This is the web, this is the email or the meeting invite that came from Zoom. So to Dave's point, when he signed us up, I got the email, I clicked on it, and then it scheduled this on my calendar for me.
Can you forward that to me? Because I just don't have it.
Sure. Hey Dave,
Mhm.
just to make sure, is this link, this is not unique to each of us, right? This is
it,
for all presenters, or is it unique to us?
it's unique to each presenter. So you'll
Okay.
want to use the link that was sent. And if you didn't get it, um, I believe we should be able to reinitiate it and resend it from Zoom. But to the best of my knowledge, I want to say it is unique.
Okay. Let's assume
Yeah,
that it is.
yeah, because that basically has, gives you it's your gateway, it's your access to get into the webinar and it identifies you as a presenter.
Hey
So
Dave, I'm just wondering, can we go into Zoom webinar right now and just I'm
Yeah,
sure you can resend the link
yeah, let's go ahead and
down.
test it out
Yeah,
and
so
take a look. So
that way
let me go
this
ahead.
is this is an important one because if we don't get the link, then
Yeah,
we're in trouble off the bat.
yeah.
Just no,
So
I've got it.
you got it.
Yeah,
Perfect.
I got it.
Good.
So let's go ahead and so we know that Dario and Rich have it. So we have to make sure that Wendy and Matt have it. So let's go ahead and go in there and we'll go over to webinars. And then we're going to go to the one we have coming up. There it is, November 15th. Perfect. And then we're going to see invitations. I believe it's under invite panelists. So here we go. We're going to
There we go.
resend. So what I did, we went under invitations. We saw the panelists list here.
Oh, where am I?
I'm going to go to edit. You are not on the list. So let's
Maybe
go
that's
ahead.
why I didn't get the
Ah.
thing.
Webinar for
Let's-
you, 6 months.
yeah, we definitely want to make sure you're added, Wendy. So let's go
I was
ahead and
like, I
resend
didn't
this.
see it. So, all right, I feel
No,
better.
You're not going
you're
crazy.
correct. No, no, that's correct. So let's do this here and make sure I copy the right information over. Perfect. So let's go ahead and we'll click Save Changes. Invalid email address. So that doesn't make sense. There's a space. No. Oh, Wendy, you wouldn't need a presenter link because you're the host. That's why we didn't have to add you. Because you
Okay,
would, yeah. So sorry, that's why it's not letting me add you because it is your account. So let's go ahead and if I click Save Changes, yeah. So
okay.
technically you are. I mean, let's go ahead and refresh it and see if it added it or not. But technically, since you are the host, you just log in to
The webinars, right?
yeah, you come in and you see it here and you click start practice session. That's your action item. So
Gotcha.
you are the one that controls the booting up of the webinar. Everybody else follows that presenter link.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah. So that, sorry, I had to work that one out in my brain for a second
Hey,
beforehand.
Dave. So I guess Wendy, you should probably maybe you can just send that link to Wendy, and Wendy, you can add that to your calendar. It's kind of odd that the one thing it won't let the presenter do is schedule it in their calendar, but whatever.
Yeah, add it. Definitely add it to your calendar. It should technically, if you have like Zoom hooked up to your calendar and you're the owner of the account, there should be a feature to connect it to your
Yeah,
calendar.
yeah.
But yeah, that is a little weird little nuance
I,
there.
so
But
I can later, just
yeah.
for clarification, I can go into the webinars like you're doing.
Hmm.
Just take the registration link and put it in, for me.
You don't even need to do that. You just log into your Zoom account and you click start practice session
No,
for the
I
webinar.
understand that, but for
Mhm.
me to have it on my calendar, I just put a
Oh,
whole calendar. But yeah, I know how to get
yes.
in. I know how to do a start practice. I know how to then hit record and
Oh,
everything else.
yeah, okay, so to that question, yes, you go to the you could go just to the landing page, you could just register and sign up and then it might just auto populate into your calendar that way.
Okay,
So
gotcha.
yeah, yeah, that should work.
Okay.
But Matt should have just received his presenter link. So Dario, you have yours. We know
Yep.
Rich has his. Um, before we click out of it, is there anybody else we need to have access to it? So we know Wendy can
Cheryl,
Cheryl? Okay, let's go ahead and add Cheryl. I'm gonna grab
she'll
her
probably
info.
come in as a participant.
Do you want me to add her as a presenter or just leave her on as a participant? Presenter will just give her the proper capabilities. So I'd
Give her
probably
the
say,
presenter, I think.
okay,
Yeah.
let's do that. I'm just gonna get her info over here. Her name right. Perfect. Save changes. All right, so Cheryl, Rich, Matt, and Dario all should
Perfect.
have their presenter links. Good. Um, so that's excellent. So we have that. Oh, we can already see we have somebody that signed up from social media, which is
Really?
great. Um,
Where do you see
Yeah,
that?
we have about 20 people already. I think Rich, you
mhm.
must have been
I invited yesterday. I sent like 150 invitations out, and then I got through LinkedIn like at least 10 or 12 people that said they accepted the invite.
yeah, I've seen several.
Good. Excellent.
So I got a lot more to send out too.
Cool.
Good. Um,
We need to build the deck for that thing.
I spent that's one of I was running late because Cheryl and I were on the phone for almost an hour going through both. We'll talk about the newsletter, Dave.
mhm.
And
Bless you.
she needed guidance on how to build the content for this deck because we came up with kind of a new spin on this story, this whole thing about account management in the specialty and space, rare disease space versus just account management. And she needed to know how to build that story. So I walked her through it.
Perfect.
Cool.
Excellent. Good. So webinar stuff, at least as it is here. So this is good. Everybody has the links. Everybody's set up. Dates are
Hey,
all
Dave,
updated.
just to
Mhm.
clarify, so
Mhm.
there's an email going out today, right?
Yes.
An invite link. And then you said there's one more, which is last chance, or is there another one between now and then?
Just the two right now. So if there wanted to be like a third one, we could do it. But since we're kind of at it's sort of like we're at the 4 week mark.
Yeah.
I don't think you necessarily need to do it, but it's an option. If you wanted to clone one and kind of resend another email. But typically it looks like what's been happening is that first one and that last chance one kind of generate
Yeah, I
most of
gotcha.
most of
And we
the
got other
action on
stuff
it.
going out, so we don't want
Yeah.
to overwhelm everybody. Yeah. Okay. Well,
Yeah.
cool.
Okay.
But we need
Perfect.
to, we do need to, we need to schedule the last chance one.
Correct. So
Maybe
that
we
is a
know the
good,
date. We should probably just schedule it.
yeah, we could definitely do
Yeah.
that today.
Yeah, Dave, is this
Mhm.
going to the list? These emails are going to all list plus social?
They're going to the WHC, WHLS, and the L10 list.
Okay, gotcha.
So we're going to go ahead and I'm going to show you, walk you through a little bit of the SharpString stuff now. And we're going to show you where the templates are, and we're going to schedule that last chance email. So we're going to go ahead and do that. Um, let's get that one out of the way first, and then I can come back to more of the production related stuff. So we're going to jump around a little bit. So
Hey,
we're going
Dave,
to
sorry
go.
for
Mhm.
interrupting. Are there any emails that will be sent from Zoom?
Zoom sends the registrant an
Yeah.
email when they sign up.
Yeah.
Um, all the other email settings are disabled,
Okay.
so
Good.
they'll
Just
send
all I
one
need
to.
to know. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you go under email settings, you
Yeah.
can always see what it sends here. So
Yeah.
it'll send them a
Okay.
confirmation reminder. But we don't do the follow-ups.
Yeah.
That is something always custom that
Yeah.
happens out of SharpSpring.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so yeah, but everything else is set up, and you can always
Yeah.
check it
Hey, Dave,
here.
just one other thing here before we get into the email. So
Mhm.
people are signing up now. What I'm going to do, and this is, I think, an Allison thing, is when people sign up, I'll keep an eye on that. I will get their email addresses from Apollo. I'll build sort of like the registration list, and then what I'll do is I'll send it to Allison, right? And then Allison, you will then register people through Zoom. That's the way it works, I think, right, Dave?
Yeah, so that's the best way to do it.
Yeah,
Because your LinkedIn page captures them there, but they have to get into the Zoom system to
yeah,
get all the access to the
yeah,
actual webinar. So
yeah,
that's correct.
yeah.
And that's just a matter of, Derry, when you have that list, you come over here
Yep,
under the invitations tab,
yep,
scroll down, it says manage attendees.
yep,
There is a button here that says
yep,
import from a CSV file. You
yep,
click on that,
yep.
and all you need is email, first name, and last name. And
Okay.
then you click the button, you choose the file, and you import it. And that's the
So
only
just to
data.
be clear though about, I believe Allison, this is what you will do. So what I will do is I will send you the list. I'll create the list. I'll send it to you, and then you will do this step that Dave is talking about because I don't have access to Wendy's Zoom account.
Okay, I'm gonna need to be taught how to do that. I've never done that
Oh.
before.
Who's done that before, Dave?
Um, Previously, well, we actually haven't had to import people before because we typically haven't used the LinkedIn
Gotcha.
event page. So it's a new step that we've introduced to the
Gotcha.
process.
Okay.
But Alison, I could show you right here, right now, just to kind of give you an example of it. So let's just kind of start from the very beginning. We'll
Do
go
you
into
think I
this
should be
fast.
on this list then? Because won't even know. I mean, I'm not
Well,
even on the webinar list.
um, I'm, can you rephrase the question?
As a
I'm not sure what
panelist.
you're saying. A panelist. Yeah, I could add you as a panelist if you think that would be helpful. I'm glad to do it.
I mean, all of this is foreign to me, guys. So I've
Okay.
never been involved in this before.
Gotcha.
Wait,
So,
how did we do it last time? In terms of getting people scheduled in Zoom from social? How did that happen last time?
Because I was sending Allison uh, lists.
What are you
yeah.
talking about?
Yeah, I think we may have actually imported it last time, Dave. Because
Yeah,
I,
this isn't
the
making
last
a lot of
webinar,
sense, right?
yeah,
You definitely imported it,
yeah,
Allison
yeah,
didn't
yeah,
touch it.
yeah,
And if we can do that, import the list, it makes it easier, quite
yeah,
frankly.
yeah,
mhm,
yeah,
correct. Yeah. So you have to whoever signs up on that LinkedIn event page, you have to,
Who has
Gary,
line of sight to this LinkedIn event page?
I have it, Wendy.
mhm,
Okay, because here's where I'm standing at the moment, or here's where I'm sitting.
Yeah.
This is a level of details that is so like where my brain is not working, number one, right? Nor do I want the responsibility or the accountability on the execution of
Yeah,
this.
yeah,
There's a lot of smart people on the phone. I don't think this is a Wendy thing.
for
So
sure.
I want to make sure that we know how we're going to execute this because during this transition, I've got a little bit of, concern that, so Dario, are you gonna like leave that and then import it if Dave's not there? How do those
Well, you know
invitations?
what I can do, Wendy? Dave, you show us how to do it here. I know it's really straightforward, simple.
Yeah.
If I need to, what I'll do, Allison, is I will get on a Zoom with you. You have access to Wendy's account, and then we can just walk through the whole process.
When you say account, you mean LinkedIn or
No,
Zoom?
no, no, Zoom, her Zoom account.
Yeah.
Yeah, let me see if I can find.
So
Yeah,
inevitably, Allison, what I will be doing is creating the CSV file of the registrations with the first name, last name, and email.
mhm.
Right.
And I will get that to you, and I can either send that to you or we can go to get on a Zoom call together and just kind of walk through the importing of it.
Yeah, it's not terribly complicated. I'm gonna show you, all the nitty-gritty stuff. So this is a format. I mean, it's exactly as it described. So first column's email, and then it's first and last name. So if you format it like this, you'll be in good shape. Well, of course, it's gonna go slow. So this is all you need. So this is the list that you would be capturing, Dario, right,
Yeah,
from what you're doing.
yeah.
And then from here, so you have this file, you're gonna go, and then these are the steps you would take. You would go under webinars, and you would find the upcoming webinar. You would click on the name, and we go under invitations, and then we go down here and we go to import from CSV. And when you click on that, it'll even prompt you and remind you it needs a CSV file. That's all it will take. It needs email, first name, last name for the columns. And then
I
all
guess
you
I'm
do,
confused. So, how did the people get the invitation to sign up to begin with if this import is to send them an invitation?
this
This
is
im-
not to send them an invitation. This is to add them to the attendee list. They've already signed up through the event page that Dario has created.
yeah. And what they'll get, Allison, is they will get a calendar invite.
You and the other thing is when you import them, because they've already signed up and they've already had the invitation to that question you just mentioned, Allison, I think it's very good that you pointed that out. Uncheck this box because they have already explicitly implied that they have signed up for it. So they do not need the invitation. Actually, no, incorrect. Sorry,
Yeah,
we're mixing language here. Leave this on because this sends them the details.
yeah,
Apologies.
yeah.
Now we're kind of getting ourselves all mixed up. You want to send them the invitation that has all the details that will add it to their calendar. Leave that checkbox on. All right. So again, these are people that have already signed up to the event page. We are just importing them to the system so they get all the registration and attendee information that they need for their calendars. Um, so click cancel. So we have that file ready. We would have it on our desktop or wherever. We go and click import. Again, it's going to look for the file. We're not going to actually do it here. And then it would pull it up. It would tell you who's imported, who's not imported, and then they would be added. So from there, now they're part of the webinar. Now they're an actual attendee for the webinar. Um, not difficult. I could do a little video on that, but also this segment here, Darren, I believe you're recording
Yeah,
this.
I'm recording it. This is
Okay.
exactly what we need to do, Dave. Yeah,
Yeah, so this will be good.
yeah.
And again, not dropping off the face of the earth. If you have a question when you hit that junction in time, not difficult. Can definitely walk you through it. But again, just get that CSV file. You go here to import and you just go through the steps and you can bring them into the system.
All right, so Dario, you have like an SOP on this, like within X number of days of the webinar, the list needs to be imported and sent or whatever. So
Yeah,
all,
we'll tie something down, but yeah.
okay.
When you set up the CSV file, do you need column headings? Yours had column headings. Is
You
that
can, I leave them in there.
Yeah.
It won't import them. It will just say couldn't import that first row. I just do that. So just, it's just how I function, but you don't have to, you could or could not, just as long as it's email, first name, last name in that
but
order.
it won't grab that, says what you're saying, and dilute the data?
No.
Correct.
Just for point of reference, can I understand the process of how the people sign up and give their emails to begin with?
So there's a couple of ways that they do it. I mean, one is they we do an email blast, right? And that email blast takes them to a Zoom form. They fill out the form and then they're registered. The other way,
But where do you do the email blast from?
from SharpSpring.
So these are people we already have their email addresses.
Well, not all of them. Not all of them. Some of them we do. So some people will register through the email blast. Other people, again, this is more likely is that they're going to register through LinkedIn. So we can invite people through our LinkedIn profiles.
But in order to register, they have to enter their email
No,
address.
they don't have to do that. We can find their email address. I've got tools that enable us to do that.
Okay, I'm a little confused, but
Well, I'll break it down like this. SharpSpring, the SharpSpring workflow kind of goes like this. So SharpSpring, so we say you have a SharpSpring email, it goes to Zoom landing, and then they have registered. No action is
right. But
needed.
my understanding of the
Mhm.
SharpSpring email is the only way it gets in there is by who we're putting it in there manually.
Incorrect. There's a SharpSpring email that goes out, and then it goes to the Zoom landing page, and then they enter their email, and then they are registered. So that is completely automated. There's
Right.
another point. There's a social media. Okay. So we say social media. It's a LinkedIn event page. They subscribe. I
Yeah.
don't know the exact language they subscribe. Dario takes an action item to acquire the email. So we'll write that down. Action item. Sorry,
Mhm.
item to acquire email, and then that goes into a CSV file. That goes to Allison and import to Zoom.
Yeah.
So there's a little extra steps, but
It
that
just put Zoom sends a calendar invite.
and then yes, import
Yeah.
to Zoom, and then Zoom will send calendar invite.
Where does the data get recorded into SharpSpring, into the contact page?
Nothing happens in, so now we're not at that step yet. That's post webinar. So post webinar, you're going to export this list, and then there's going to be an actionable step to bring all that over into SharpSpring for your marketing purposes. Okay. So this is inbound. We're sending people there, and then there's going to be a follow-up action to create the follow-up email, which we haven't covered yet. We're just kind of talking about the initial promotional aspects, but there's a step to do that follow-up step. So you got to export it, and then you go into SharpSpring. You're going to set up a follow-up email, which we can absolutely cover too. If you guys have time next week, we can kind of go over that, and maybe we can get that template set up.
Hey, Dave,
Mhm.
question. Dario, do you guys
Yep.
really need me on this call?
No.
All right, I'm like,
Yeah. We're
I'm just,
recording it
I
anyway,
have
Wendy.
I'm flooded with
Yeah.
work, me taking an hour here with you,
Yeah.
Rich and Allison seems like not great use of my time without being rude. Because I'm not gonna retain all of this. Are you okay with me dropping off and handling something time sensitive? Because I know, Dave, we're gonna talk next week for sure, you and I.
Mhm. Mhm.
Will that be okay? Rich,
Yeah,
you good with
absolutely.
that?
All good.
All right, I don't
Yeah.
disconnect anything. Thank you very much, Dave. Thank you, Daria. Thank you, Allison. Thank you, Rich. I'll speak to you guys later.
Take care. So we'll break it down. This is the marketing of webinar, right? And then there's a follow-up, and it's probably because I really want to get into some of the SharpSpring stuff in a minute. So what we're going to say, there's a follow-up webinar action items. I'll put it here just to say, but you go for Zoom, you go to the webinar, you go to manage attendees, and then you go to export list, and that will have everybody, all the compiled people from SharpString, social media, anybody that maybe went directly to the landing page for the webinar. It'll have all the attendees. You go to export list, you import list to SharpSpring. Okay, just like any of the lists that we showed you with Carrie, you tag it, name it whatever makes sense at that time. So name it, you got to tag it, name it, and then you create the webinar follow-up. We have a template for that follow-up. Follow-up email, and then you send to newly imported list. So that's
So basically, sorry,
Mhm.
Dave, we're going to create a new list so it's not intertwined with all the other contacts.
Well, yes and no. It's kind of a little bit of yes, a little bit of no, because when you import them, some of those people might already be in SharpSpring, so they're not necessarily getting re-imported. We're just tagging them just so
I don't
I
know,
I
you
want
mean tagging.
I want to get Carrie so I can get the language correct on that import process because I don't necessarily handle that particular step. All the other portions I can help with. So when I get to this part, if you can hold on the questions for that, I can get the
Sure.
answers from Carrie and then give you the exact wording, phrasing, and explanation of how that works. But when they import, there's a way to define they've already existed, but now we know they go into this webinar follow-up list where these are new people. You define it as that, and then we can create a follow-up email to them. So SharpSpring does the heavy lifting of determining who already existed in there and who's new. But that particular step right here, let me go ahead and highlight that, and I'll get you the specific phrasing and explanation of how exactly that works. So let me do that here. So we can do a little explainer video on that. But that's a little in depth for purposes of today. But I'll come back to that and kind of give you a little walkthrough of how that works.
Yeah, because especially if it's something that we have to track and we're going to need to know later.
Mhm. Can definitely help with that. Absolutely. Um, so we went kind of through the details here, right? The marketing, what we need to do here for the importing it. Are you okay if I jump into a little bit of the SharpSpring stuff and kind of show you some of the things in there, kind of like the
Yeah,
process
let's
from,
do that, Dave.
okay.
We're ready for it.
Really
Yeah,
fun about the newsletter though.
SharpSpring is where the newsletter is, right? So
yes, correct.
I'll do the context of the newsletter.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna, Carrie has a great tutorial video
Yeah.
here. Obviously, I'm gonna walk you guys through the process here, literally from the start, through to the build, graphics, stuff like that. Just to kind of give you all the subtle nuances. I definitely say watch that video, but you can also go back to what we're talking about here. So when you're creating a newsletter, the place we always start when Carrie and I are building these is we have a standard newsletter template, and that's this document here. Okay. I cleaned it up, made it hopefully easier for all of you to follow along with so you kind of understand what you need when you're starting this process. Okay. Um, there's the configuration things. So you need a good subject line. You need a good pre-header. You define your lists. I just populated it with a standard list that we always use, right? You pick a date and time. Typically, we send or either Tuesdays and Thursdays, sometimes on Wednesdays, but typically we shoot for Tuesdays. Um, any miscellaneous notes that you need to be aware of when kind of working with the team. And then at the top of the emails, there's that monthly header graphic, right? That shows, what edition it is, what month it is, just to show something's updating. Um, we created a Canva template. I moved it out of Photoshop into Canva just to make it easier for you guys to work with. That is shared with
Yeah.
all of you via this link. So you
I,
just
I
go,
have it, by the way, everyone, just in case I've already
perfect, perfect.
received it, Dave. Yeah,
So
that's
you
great.
could just go in
That's
here,
awesome.
everything
Yeah,
is editable. You can
yeah,
change it. That's perfect.
yeah.
Um, the second part, now you start thinking about content. So content's, where the more strategic side comes in. But when you're thinking about content, I try to give some prompts of how it works. We use the personalization in SharpSpring, so it always says dear first name. We typically insert, some sort of standard greeting from Wendy, covers, maybe the seasonal change or that month's topic, or maybe something relevant from the industry. 200 to 300 words, about two, maybe three paragraphs, and then maybe a little subtle call to action. Maybe if you have a question, something to reach out to us, please contact us. And then closing salutation, right? So that this is what we use. After that, that's where we kind of break it down into the blocks. And the blocks are those, two columns or sometimes there's two columns and sometimes we have one, two, sometimes three rows. Um, lately, we've just been doing the two blocks. So that formats with the heading, a lovely little graphic here, This is also a Canva template I set up for you guys. A lot of times we just pull the image and link it directly out of the website. But if that's not an option, I wanted to make sure you at least have a Canva template to use as well. So small heading, whether it's a case study, article, webinar, event, something, just something like think of it as like a category. You're just kind of giving it something to classify it, some large catchy heading, and then your link. The link can be, you want to keep it simple, right? If it's whatever the action is, click here, read more, download, register, whatever the action is, use that for the button link. And then you update the link here. I left the formatting in there just so you guys can see, but obviously you would replace this with whatever your link is. If you're sending
Excuse
them
me,
to,
Dave.
uh-huh.
When you refer to links, are you talking about links to the website with downloaded articles that you set up?
No, links to anything, honestly. It could be a link to that L10 focus on training. Um, it could be a link to the Zoom webinar. Um, in this example here that I've shown, it's links to the trackable documents in SharpSpring.
But there
Um,
are times that you put links to
th
articles on the website, and
that's
then we
correct.
would we would need those links, correct? If we need,
Yes. So
and
what?
when
So
we also need graphics to insert like a little icon or something.
so to that point, that is where I'm going to talk with Wendy a little bit next week because I believe I'll still have some capacity to help out with the web portion of it. And so one of the things that we want to talk about in terms of procedure is that if I'm able to get the content, that month's content for the website, say at the beginning of the month, and we can kind of create that cover image, get everything uploaded on the site, then that sets you guys up when you get to the newsletter to put those graphics in, write whatever content, put the links in, all those things, right? So you're correct in asking those. So there would be, if it was something linking to the website, there would be an actionable step that I potentially would need to help with beforehand. But if, mhm,
I'm just going, the last time I did newsletters for WH, we were using Constant Contact. And I
mhm,
had a template and we had, whatever our headings. So I used certain graphics that I stored within Constant Contact.
mhm,
And then if we had a link and we had, okay, a section called upcoming events, we're going to L10. I had an image of L10 that I have to use a certain type of image. Then I had links. So I would put in a link that took the people to L10. So various things I'm familiar with. This seems a little bit different, but if we decide to change things along the way because we're doing it a little differently, or if we're using a different font, or we don't use Canva and we use PowerPoint, I'm just saying, those are options, correct?
um, that's kind of a broad statement. There's things that are correct about what you said, but not
I mean, if we
necessarily.
need an image, we can
Mhm,
create an image from anywhere. If I need an image
mhm,
to insert into a newsletter
mhm.
and I need to create an image and I don't have Dave's image, I can create an image from anywhere, right?
Yes. I'd say 95% of the time, if you're kind of keeping to the format that we sent up, that instance probably wouldn't happen. But yes, if you wanted to create an image, you wanted to add it in there, I'm good. You can do that, and I'm actually going to show you how to do that in a couple of minutes here, so we can kind of walk through that step.
So
I'm just thinking, 4 or 5 months from now, this wonderful template with all these great links may not apply to what something that comes up down the road. And this
Uh,
doesn't apply always the same exact format.
It's it's a good question, but to be, if I'm just kind of looking at historically, I mean, we've kind of run with the template as it is for the better part of the last year and a half, and it's been pretty
Okay, maybe,
functional.
right.
So I think I'm very confident you'll be able to get through a good portion of next year, using it as it is. But again, those instances come up, there's means and ways we can kind of work through it. But I'm what I'm trying to walk you through is kind of think of it as, you're going to keep the format and keep it how it is,
Yeah.
not for the what
Yeah.
ifs, more so for the, all right, this is what we have. And
Yeah.
this is, if you keep to this structure, you're
Yeah.
going to be easy peasy. It's going to be so simple for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm trying to make it like so easy for you that it's just like not to have to worry about any of
Well,
those what
I'm
ifs.
just thinking, there are times that we put out a newsletter and we have various paragraphs. And within that paragraph, we may have bullets. And within the next paragraph, we may have a numbered list that goes 1 through 10. And when it
S-
comes to formatting in these type of things, it's a little tricky because
So,
behind the scenes, I'm
mhm.
not an HTML person, but I know behind the scenes, there's a little bit of a trick when it comes to formatting.
So
So,
in those instances, I would go back to rewriting the content. I wouldn't do like heavy formatting. I wouldn't worry about that. Keep it
okay,
simple. Yeah, you want to not think about, oh gosh, I have to execute on this. You want to go back to how can we keep it simple,
Yeah.
keep to the format, and how can we keep to the structure and keep it streamlined. So when those instances come up, don't stress. Think about, how to keep it simple into the format. And we can definitely do that. So um I'm going to jump into because I know you have some questions now more about how to work in there. So the content template is more going to be for whomever is writing, creating. This structure matches up with what we have in SharpSpring. And so I'm not going to go through all this in detail. All the comments kind of outline it. There's all the Canva links are in here for the graphics. All the structures there. You never have to touch the footer. It's really working within these boxes here is what is going to give you the best output and keep to the structure we've set up for you. So
Oh,
let's jump over the SharpSpring real fast. I'm going to show
oh,
you where
hey,
everything is. Oh, sorry.
before you go, please, I have questions regarding the newsletter itself. That's what I'm
Hmm.
saying. Can you stop sharing for a second? I can just
Yeah,
up what Wendy sent me so I can ask my question about it.
yeah.
And hopefully this will be quick.
All right.
Um, uh, so Wendy sent me this. Okay. This is the year-end newsletter that was from last year into this year,
Mhm.
right? And um, so you just showed us a template for newsletter. Is that the same thing as this, or is this different than that?
So let's talk about that a minute because I think this comes down to it comes down to names and we're getting into semantics but this is really important to kind of understand. So typically when Wendy, uses the term newsletter, so this here would typically be something that we actually post on the website as an article. Okay. And so if you scroll down, this is probably like a 4 or 5 page document, I'm guessing, right?
Three pages, yeah.
Yeah. So this might even be like a PD. I mean, this could even potentially be a PDF that, no, this is, no, that has a click here. So this would most likely be an article that we post on the website. And so where the naming, like I've just kind of I've kind of learned to know what Wendy's saying when she says newsletter. This is really a article to go into the newsletter and it would be in one of those blocks. So you'd still have the opening and you'd still have those blocks, and this would be year-end focus. It would be that left column block, and then maybe you'd have something in the right column block. And so this would then link over to the website, right? And so that's kind of what we've done over the years. So when she sends me something, here's the newsletter for this edition. We typically take this, what you're showing me right here. We'll put that up on the website. We'll create a cover graphic for it. We'll publish it, and then we create a little block for it that goes into the actual SharpSpring newsletter. We feature it as a little thing in there, and so I think that's just more or less like just like a naming thing. But I just wanted to kind of explain that because immediately I see this and I know, yeah, this would totally be an article that goes up on the website, and we would create something to go into the newsletter that links over to it so you can read the full thing. Because you'd never want to put this whole thing actually in an email. Like it would never, it wouldn't be
So,
very
well,
effective.
so she
okay.
sent this to me and said, "Can you throw your 2 cents in it?" And I said, "You really sending this out at the end of the year to people? I mean, and what, you think they're going to read a 3 page article? I mean, it's, on top of this." So she goes, "Well, we do this every year. Can you take a look and let me know your thoughts?" So without having the feedback from you, I went
Mhm.
off, said, "Okay, I'm going to recraft it and it should look like this.
Ah,
It should be a one pager, not three pagers, and it should talk about what we've done this year,
mm-hmm,
not we're giving you some thoughts on X, Y, or Z, right? So we did work in change management. We did, we worked with this company and why it's important, and click here to get more information on it.
mm-hmm,
And we did work in account management and we blah, 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 and click here to get more information on it. And the thought was, to your point from the last call, every time they click on this, it probably takes them to a splash page where they have to register. So even though people don't like it, those who go all the way through are the people you're going to want to reach out to. Um,
mm-hmm.
and it would go out as an email. But now I'm hearing this was never intended that way.
Well, but it's just a different way of thinking, and there's
Well,
nothing.
yeah, we used to do it that way before we got SharpSpring.
But
We
this.
just,
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry, Allison. Go ahead.
sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say this could actually be a really nice uh, resource document. So, there's long form articles like you just showed me, right? That Reflect newsletter for December 2024, right? That other Word doc you have up. It's long, and I can't say with good confidence we always get a lot of traffic that of people going to those, but people like the tools and resources. And so when I see it broken down like this, you could say this might be something better to feature. But if you want, and this might help give you some context, and I realize now I forgot to send it to you. Do you want to take a quick look at the newsletter template from last year at the end of the year, and maybe that will kind of give you an idea of what I'm talking about? And then,
That would be helpful, yes.
let me go ahead and take over the screen share, and we're
Because
gonna.
I'll stop. Without having done this before,
Mhm.
I sent this to her yesterday. She's like, "Oh yeah, we need to do that. That's great. Reach out to Cheryl." So I had an hour-long call with Cheryl this morning so she could start populating this. And as it turns out, this isn't really a newsletter. And I said to
It's
her, "It's not." I said, first of all,
mm,
I didn't rebuild his newsletter anyway. This is a promotional piece,
yes, yes,
Yeah.
right?
definitely.
It's a marketing piece. It's designed to get people to recognize certain areas of the business they do,
Mhm.
realize that we work in that area, and here are some resources. And therefore, we've now established ourselves as experts or capabilities, and maybe they'll reach out to us. And they do it
Correct.
all on one page.
Yep. I yes. So lots to unpack with that, but you're correct in that the newsletter typically has that opening greeting and then it features the great content from that month. And if you look at a quick snapshot of last year, you could see they all have a greeting, they all have sort of blocks in there. And when we think about what we did last year, let's go ahead and look it up. This is December 2023. All right, let's go ahead and we're just going to go ahead and edit it so you can kind of take a look. It was that same sort of thinking is that, you know, there's an opening statement. We did something fun. This was a little off brand, but whatever. We just tried it out last year. I want to do it again this year, but so anyway, this is December's year-end email. We did a little opening statement. We give just, it's short, sweet, to the point. And then what we did was we just featured all the great articles. There were some really great L10 articles. There's the transition guide toolkit. There was the resource. There was the case study. There's the upskilling article that I think is that the one Tiana worked on, one of the Tiana. There was an interview we did with Wendy, even a 5Cs video. So there's actually a lot of blocks. We got a pretty good, you know, open and click through rate on this. And the point is that what you just showed me, that document would just be one of the
Yeah.
pieces that we would feature in here.
Yeah.
So we always try to give it some sort of warm or personalized greeting. And then we feature
So
the
this is
content
your
pieces.
same format, Dave, that you just showed us before.
Correct. That's exactly it. It's exactly this word template here. So that is exactly what I was trying to explain in that if you write the content to fit the Word document, when you come over the SharpString to put it in, easy peasy. It will flow right in and it won't be difficult. And everything, and you mentioned Constant Contact. The new SharpSpring editor is so easy to work with. This is actually the old one, the classic one. um, Sorry, I know we're jumping around, but Alison, let me come back to the minute. So, Rich, I'll send you a quick test of this so you can kind of see what last year's was, so you can kind of understand if that would be helpful. And let me do that now before I forget. And everybody can kind of see how to send a test email too. We'll kind of learn a little production thing. Let me grab your email.
So that article that she sent me
Hmm.
doesn't look like it was part of what was in here because what I showed you is from last year. So that must
Um,
be something else
it,
that went out
it
somehow, somewhere.
it doesn't that we could have, I mean, quite honestly, that could have been used maybe in October or November. I wouldn't say it's an exact date, but it looked familiar. Um, it could have been October, November, December. I'd have to go back and find exactly when it was used, or maybe there was a variation of it. Oftentimes, um, and just to be completely transparent, Wendy is very familiar with the content, but by the time we get it out to use it in something, it's kind of had a couple of revisions and might have changed. So that some part, piece, or otherwise application of what you showed me may have been used, but maybe in a different way that neither her nor I can exactly remember at the moment. But yeah, it looks familiar. Looks like something that we may have touched on.
And Dave, what I will also need later on is to learn how to create these little icon thingies. So where you take a print screen of a cover sheet and then you put it in with the little background, like those are things I'm talking about having to create.
So that is the thing. I'm going to talk with Wendy about it next week. But since these come from the website, I'm going to
Right,
show.
those I can create, but I'm saying
Well,
the little background thing.
I don't, I'm not sure if you'll necessarily have to worry about this portion
Okay,
because I just got to work out some logistical things with timing, but if I can stay on at least the help with the website portion, this stuff
yeah,
will flow. I'll be able to say, hey, Allison, here's the 4 cover images.
good,
And then that's off your plate because
right.
that is not a huge thing. I just got to work out some timing things on my end. But I'm going to show you real fast what I was trying to explain in that it's not a heavy lift to get it in there. And so let's take a pause for a minute. I just wanted to show you something. There's we are in the email here, email content. We go down to 2024. All the emails for the remainder of the year are set up. Okay. We have the gratitude email. It's not scheduled, but it is in there. Okay. We have the November 2024 newsletter template. It's not scheduled, set up. December 2024 newsletter template, not scheduled. It's just set up. The webinar 01, that is scheduled. That is going out today. And then the webinar 2, the last chance, that is not scheduled. We'll talk about
Hey,
how to
Dave,
do that.
sorry. So
Yes.
The November and December newsletters, you say
Mm.
they're set up, meaning the content is populated. They just need
Well,
to be scheduled, or is there more than
or let's say the templates are set up,
that?
but it
Okay.
needs content and it needs
Okay.
scheduling. So of the 3
Gotcha.
action items, you have a template set up. You would
Yeah.
need then to do content, and you then need to do pick a date to send it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so I know we're jumping around because there's a lot of questions. I appreciate you guys kind of bearing with me
Yeah.
because
Yeah. It's all
I
good,
know
Dave.
there's a lot of knowledge
Yeah.
transfer here.
Yeah.
Um, let's go ahead and real fast. Let's do one that's kind of easy to take a look at. So there's a video here of where Carrie set up how to schedule an email. Technically, this one is already scheduled. All you have to do to schedule it is you hit the little plane icon, right? You click on it. The little pop-up will come up. This is already done. This is going to go out. I'll verify with her. I believe she's already scheduled it. You would choose the lists. So you go to lists, you say, C, LS, and then you do L10. That's our standard list. And then you would uncheck these because we want to send it to uh, we've been sending it to everybody, and that's the main goal since September, what we've been doing. You do leave on excluded recipients who've already received it, and then you click send. Okay. That's it for actually sending it. You could also pick a date and time as well to schedule it. Um, it's very simple to do the send and scheduling and pick it, the date and time. Um, what I want to show you is just kind of working with the editor for a quick second. And so Allison, I think those answer some questions that you had.
Yeah, no,
So,
that's very similar.
so we're going to go to edit the email. We're going to go into the November 2024 newsletter. So let's go ahead and open that up. And we're going to pull this open. And the editor, as you can see, is very similar, even better now that the contact. Everything is in rows, which is really nice. So if there's a row you don't need or need to copy, like this is really cool in that you need to add another section of blocks, you just duplicate it. You need to delete a section of blocks, you delete it. Easy peasy. You have to go in and edit an image. Let's say you want to change this image right here. Okay, we want to change this image. Well, check this out. We go over to the website. I just pull something up real fast and say we go over to we'll go over to resources. We'll just find something real fast and we say, let's grab this. Let's go open image in new tab. We go, here's our link, copy this URL to the image. Let's go back over to SharpSpring. We have our image selected. It says URL, paste it in, and it's changed the image. That's it. It's as simple as that to swap images. If I've already placed them on the website, that's all you have to do. You don't even have to download anything. You're just linking to it. And because it's coming from your email sending domain, that is a perfectly valid way to do it. Um, Absolutely works. It's everything good with that. It- that's all you have to do to swap out images. As long as they're already created on the website, you just click on it, you grab the image URL, and you can just paste it into the layout. Um, Same thing with URLs. If you would need to change a link on a button, this one links to one of that's this funky thing here. It links to one of those trackable download files right on the website, or not on the website, sorry, excuse me, on SharpSpring. But say you wanted this to link to a specific case study in the resources. Well, we go over here. I just go copy link address. We've done that. We go back over here, click on our button, and it says, okay, open web page URL. Just paste it in, maybe, and it's updated it. Great. That's all you have to do. Um, it's really that simple to update it. If your content is in here in the newsletter, I mean, you would just copy this, just Command C it. You go over to here or whatever it is on PC, you go ahead and you paste it in and you just paste in the content. So you don't have to really worry much. Once the content's written, that document, it comes over here, becomes a production task. There are things you do with the check and preview. Obviously, you want to kind of send a couple of tests yourself. Um, but as long as you've done that first step of preparing all the content you want, the production part becomes a matter of going in here, checking everything, loading it all up, making sure it's all set up. Um, the settings, again, you don't have to play with any of the formatting or the design or the settings. That's not really something you have to worry about. The send settings control all the meta information I told you about up here, subject line, pre-header, all those things. So you don't change the from name or from email. They will always stay as is. The only things you have to change on the send settings are the subject here and the pre-header here. So these two will always stay the same. We don't normally do the view and browser link. People don't really use it, and we kind of leave the other settings off. So we don't worry about it. If it's off, just leave it off. You can leave everything as it is because we've set up the template as easy as possible for you to work with. Um, you want to send a preview? That's the little eyeball up here. You go check and preview. You go send a preview email. You would paste in the email address of whomever you want to send a preview to. You have to you have to select a contact. It's only for display purposes. So we always just go in and we type Wendy's name to use as that contact. That's it. And really that just uses it. That's just for the personalization. So that way, when you send the preview, it will say, Dear Wendy or Dear whomever you select for your contact. Um, you send your previews a couple times, you make sure it's good. Once everything's good, that's when you would click the continue button and it would go to that screen I showed you where you pick the send time, the date, the lists, all the other things to actually send it out. So I know you probably have questions, so I'll kind of pause there, but that is everything I've covered here. The content, um, how to create it, how to schedule it, the graphic templates if you needed them, right? Everything. The call to actions, you could swap this out. If the images, if you actually needed to make them and I wasn't available, I have that set up, but I'm pretty certain I'll be able to help with at least that portion. The header templates, Dario, you mentioned you had that. So that's really the from the content creation to the production to the sending for the newsletters. And all these, through the end of 2024, all the newsletters are set up with the exception, and I made a note up here in that we have to do a follow-up webinar email template. I'm hoping maybe I can spend some time with you guys to show you how to do that next week. So that way it'll be ready for you guys for the November webinar.
So, Dave, real quick, this
Mhm,
folder you're showing us
mhm.
is listed under emails. Everything in there is called emails, the
Uh,
folder.
yeah, it's 24 emails,
Okay.
2024.
And all the other folders are what they're called. M&A and all those are other things.
This is a bunch of legacy stuff that Carrie and I inherited on the account that we did not touch.
Okay.
So what we've been doing it by year. So everything we've done is in 2022, 2023,
Okay,
and
good, because those things
2024.
on the left are very confusing.
I don't even look at this weird sidebar. I ignore this. So
Okay, good.
ignore this, ignore this. You only need to worry about 2024 and then
Okay, good.
obviously when next year comes up. But again, and that said, we're not going to get too far ahead of ourselves, but if there's ever an instance where you say, oh, we got another webinar we want to do for December. Well, that's where this little button comes in.
Copy it, right.
Yep, you go down to copy email to a template, or you copy email. You don't have to copy it, just copy the email, just make a new version of it. Template, it's a whole nother thing we're not going to really explore today. Just copy it, make a new version, relabel it, subject line, all this stuff, and there you go. So it's a much easier editor to work with, as you've seen. Drag and drop. You don't have to worry about fonts or formatting because all that stuff is already set up for you. All you really have to worry about is you're getting good input here, then you can come over to here and set up things very seamlessly.
Yeah.
And that's really it.
And you can just like whatever, duplicate last year's and start there, then just edit literally,
Yeah. If
swap
there,
content. I mean, you don't have to recreate the wheel every
no,
time.
No, and a lot of, I mean, we switched over to the new
Yeah,
format
that's
this
great.
year, so all of these
Yeah,
use that new format. So
yeah,
you could literally, I mean, once 2025 starts, create a new
yeah.
folder, start copying them over. The other thing is since they've all been tested, meaning the litmus test, when we talk about testing, we're talking about the actual display, technical
Yeah.
stuff. Since they've all gone through that
Deliverability, right?
process, they're good. So
Yeah,
these
yeah,
templates, if you're going to do anything new, work from the existing because they've already
yeah,
had the technical bugs
yeah,
worked out
yeah,
of them.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
Mm.
so that's really it. I mean, I know that's a lot of stuff to cover, but it's we've kind of set up as much as we possibly think you
Yeah.
could need, at least to kind of get things rolling. I know there will, need one more actionable thing is just kind of that webinar follow-up
Yeah.
email, and I'll get that set up so you guys are good. Um, and then Rich, I know you're going to have some questions about the end of the year email. Uh,
Yep.
that template, at least so you can see what we did last year. Um, So yeah, it's a lot of questions. I know we covered strategy stuff and content stuff, production and the technical, but hopefully that was helpful, at least to kind of with a little bit of a knowledge transfer there.
And you're not falling off the face of the earth. So
No,
yeah,
I know unfortunately the week you guys are doing the webinar, I'm going to be at a trade. I don't know if it's either the week before or a week after, but I'm going to be it's going to be a trade show event. I'm going to be stuck in King of Prussia either that week or the week after. So be limited that week. But again, not falling off the face of the earth,
yeah,
not disappearing. Um, I'm trying to cover as much ground and as much knowledge transfer as I can, but the questions are always okay. I just want to just I just try to set it up as I'm going to get back to you as soon as I humanly possibly can to try to answer it in much detail. But you can absolutely ask me questions. Like we're all good people here. So I mean it's not a problem. Not a problem.
It'd be helpful for me to get another call at some point, brief
Mhm.
call, we don't need an hour, probably a half hour, just to discuss the year-end newsletter, because having looked at what you sent me and
Mhm.
having looked at what I started to put together, which I wonder if there's a way to kind of merge those somehow into
Mhm.
the upfront letter portion,
Okay.
without so much like taking what I did and just crunching the way down
Mhm.
and finding if there's a way. Because when I like seeing, hey, we had really great success working with our clients this year and did some really tailored and innovative stuff. And we focused in these, we accomplished some great things in these areas with these types of clients and that kind of
Mhm.
stuff. Just to kind of, again, put it out there, but it would have to graphically show up so that it doesn't just look like a bunch of words and it gets lost in translation. So I'd like to talk through that maybe,
Mhm.
or if we can grab a half hour,
Yeah.
and then we wouldn't need the document that I put together because it would just be part of what you're already doing.
Yeah, and so I could kind of speak to that for like a couple minutes here, and we can definitely find some time. But when I think about it, right? So last year's end of year email was like a recap. It was like a greatest hits. When I look at what you did, I immediately thought, what if those four quadrants you set up in the document where they replaced the blocks that we have in the email. So we still have the greeting and the opening, and those four quadrants that you're writing, they become the blocks, right? And then we create some sort of graphic that goes along above, in or above each block. So that
Okay.
way it's not like doing what we did last year, which is just a greatest hits. It's actually something a little bit more meaningful. It's a little different, but again, if each of those blocks then had a graphic, it had the content that you're writing, and it had some sort of, they have to have an actionable link because that's the thing is that can't
Great.
leave people with just reading. They want to do something. They want to click on something. They want to go somewhere. So you have the graphic, you have the content you're writing and some actual link, and it's taking those four quadrants and use that instead of the blocks. It's kind of marrying the idea of like the existing template, but with what you're doing. Because Wendy's article, I mean, no, I'm not trying to bash it, but a lot of times getting people to click out and then from an email to read, a 5, 10, 15-minute article isn't always effective. So I kind of like the new idea that you're kind of spinning up there. Might be an interesting approach.
All right, let's get another call
Yeah.
because Cheryl was going to help me to fill out some of the other content. Because again, all I did was I started with her core four capability areas for
Mhm.
WLH, but then we modified them based on conversations I had with her about what she's hearing about what's hot right now. So, for example, one of the quadrants was about medical or MSL training, and it's not one of her four core capability areas, human capital and commercial excellence and leadership and change, but she says we're getting a lot of calls about this. So if that's what's hot right now, then we should be talking about the work we're doing there because maybe somebody else is also hearing that it's hot and they're realizing they got to got to get their button gear and get addressing it. So
Mhm.
what those four areas are right now, and Cheryl is helping to identify stuff that WLH did this year, seeing as how I've only been here 2 months. So
Mhm.
what was done up to this point, and then to your point, how do we spin that or sell that in such a way that here's the work we did, here's why it's important,
Mhm.
here's the risks of not addressing this, and here's more information you can get
Mhm.
here, right? It's
Yeah.
quick, it's easy, it refers to work we did, it talks about the previous year, but it sets them up for where they're going into next year.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a nice take. Yeah.
So we'll see what, like I said, Cheryl was going to, I was on the call with her this morning. She'll help put the content together. And then once we have that, I'm hoping we'll have that together today or by tomorrow. So if we can get a call soon after that, we can figure out your ideas on how best to execute it.
Yeah. If you got time Friday, let me know. I know tomorrow and Thursday are a little crazy, but Friday's pretty good. I mean, yeah, I don't know if you want to chat, kind of go over it.
I got time Friday morning between 9 and 10:30 or between 2 and 3 in the afternoon.
Uh, I catch up. I could do 10. Like, yeah,
All right. I'll send you an invite for 10 to 10:30.
perfect. Sounds great.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Okay,
Appreciate it.
bye everybody. Bye
Thanks.
bye.
Thank you,
I'll share
everyone.
this recording here in a bit. Okay.
Thanks.
Okay.